Why do you think these movies are still so culturally relevant and beloved?
I mean, it's I wish I had the definitive answer to this. I feel like I've spent particularly the past 4 years just trying to figure out like why are we still so obsessed with Twilight? I think a lot of it did have to do. I think we have been this whole time for the past 20 years, but I think a lot of us who were fans maybe early on, I can't speak for everyone. I was a fan early on. We kind of went into hibernation a little bit. It had been a shameful thing to love, and we took a break from talking about it, maybe so openly. And then in 2020, Stephanie Meyer publishes Midnight Sun, which is Twilight from Edward's perspective, smack in the middle of quarantine, right? And I think that, at least for me, everything just kind of exploded. We have this Twilight Renaissance that comes back. All of a sudden, people who haven't revisited the books and the films for a long time are watching them again. And you have a whole new generation of people that are reading the books. And then in July of 2021, they're put on Netflix for the first time.
Oh.
And I remember looking at that ranking and it was just the top five movies were all Twilight. I was like, are we all okay? Like, I don't think we're okay. Right. And so I feel like we really, people came to it for the first time. Hundreds of thousands of people came to those films for the first time. Um, and I think it's just gained, instead of losing momentum from that point, I started doing TikToks and stuff in 2021. And I thought, I'll get to talk about this maybe for a couple months. I don't know. I feel like we're just gaining momentum.
I would
Um,
honestly agree.
yeah. And that's a hard thing to pin down. But I do think that whatever it is about Twilight, the nostalgia that it evokes in people, even in people that are very young coming to it the first time, the idea of identifying in some way with this very ordinary person who discovers that the world that is in that hasn't been great to her, that she doesn't love very much, actually is extraordinary.
Mhm,
And there's something beyond it. And she's extraordinary to these extraordinary creatures.
mhm.
I think everyone can identify with that in some way. We all, I think, want to believe that there's something else out there for us. And it's become identified with a season, like the whole like like the Blue Foundation song.
Mhm.
Um, we forced it to be like a season, right? A Twilight season, forks, rain, clouds, leaves, wet. Like that's people now who even don't know what Twilight is understand what that means.
Mhm.
So I do feel like it's just going to pick up steam with with the new TV show from Midnight
Yeah.
Sun. Um, the new, I did think we were going to get a new book. I was wrong
Okay.
about that.
That was my question. I was like, that was a later question, but did you ever think we're still going to get a new book or
I
no?
do.
Okay, you do.
Yeah, I do think. I mean, I am starting to think we're not going to get it this year because if she was, I really do think that. So I very publicly, and many other people did too, but I really bet my whole life on her publishing another book this year because she loves anniversaries.
Okay.
She has published some version of Twilight or something from the Twilight universe on every one of the anniversaries.
Okay.
We got Midnight Sun on the 15-year anniversary. We got the gender bent version of Twilight, Life and Death, on the 10-year anniversary. On the 5-year anniversary, we got the Brie Tanner novella. And so I'm thinking it's just math. Like we're going to get something. I thought it was going to be a new book about Renesmee and Jacob, and we were waiting for that at the festival. And she didn't announce the book. She's been really busy working on Midnight Sun, the animated series for Netflix. She did show us some concept art from that was very exciting to see. We're not allowed to take any pictures. None of us took any pictures. But I think we're all kind of like, where's the book?
Yeah.
And I know, and there's some people that are still saying, well, she could do it at um there was LA Comic Con that's come and gone. And I think if she was going to do it, she would have done it in Forks. She, in her Nightline interview, she said that she does have the outline. She brought it up. She did also make a joke that she'll have somebody publish them if she dies before she writes those books. So I don't know if she's just playing with us. I know that she is going to write those books.
Do you think that they'll come out if it's a Jacob and Renesmee book? Do you think it'll come out on the 20th anniversary of New Moon instead of Twilight, since New Moon is like more Jacob's book.
You know what, Riley? That's really genius thinking.
Because if it's
Uh,
not coming out this year, then obviously it has to come out next year.
you know what? I just it might. I know she has the outlines,
Okay.
particularly in some ways that she answered the questions in the Q&A. There was a question about Leah, and she has also said that the new books would potentially focus on Leah Clearwater's perspective.
Okay.
There was a question about Leah, and she mentioned that Leah would find something, and she was like, there are people in the room who know what that means, and they think I'm being mean right now. And I'm like, girl, you're writing. I know you are. Like, if there are people in the room that understand something about Leah Clearwater's future, in the room, we're like all outside in a field, but um, if there are people around her that know something about Leah Clearwater's future, I just think that this has to,
Mhm.
it's going to happen eventually. I don't think that she will, she has a morbid sense of humor. I don't think she will die and then have us just read the outlines.
Yeah.
She's going to, but she is working on another standalone book right now. That's the next thing that's going to be coming out. That's she said that's the
Okay.
next thing that's closest for her editor to read. And she said it was science fiction, and she said it was really weird, and to kind of like good luck. She literally said good luck. So I think that that could be really interesting as well.
Okay. What about
It's
the
but
host?
right. So she also said that I find her really funny. So yeah, everybody wants a sequel to The Host, and she said that she knows exactly what happens to everyone, but she doesn't want to write it because she knows what happens.
Well,
She's
I
a,
want to know.
exactly like we don't know. She's a really interesting writer because I think part of the writing process that's really fascinating for Stephanie Meyer is finding out what happens.
Mhm.
We think of the story of her having the dream. So Stephanie Meyer came up with the idea of Twilight. She had a dream,
Mhm.
and it was the meadow sequence. She saw Edward and Bella laying there like that, and she wrote it because she wanted to find out what happens.
Mhm.
So it seems like for her, part of the intrigue or the part of the interesting part of the writing process is finding out what happens. I have never written fiction, so I don't know what that feels like, but I think she knows what's going. It's boring to her potentially to write the Host sequel because she knows what's going to happen,
Hmm.
but we don't.
But I
So
don't. It would be great for me.
it's
Keep thinking
interesting to
about
hear a
me.
writer. Yeah, it's interesting to hear a writer talk that way,
Yeah.
because I can't imagine writing a story and not knowing what's going to happen. But I do think that that's part of why Twilight, in particular, reads as so
Yeah.
like like it feels so close. Everything is like it's so easy to project yourself
Yeah.
onto Bella or the characters because I do feel like it was coming right up off the top of her brain.
Yeah. And it's not like they like know what's gonna happen, which I think I've noticed sometimes when it's like, oh, like clearly this character is like, oh, well, what's gonna happen next? This. But with like Twilight, you're like, I don't know what's gonna happen at any
That's
given point.
part of the of why it's so riveting. Yeah, I
Yes.
think, and then we realized that she didn't know what was going to happen either, and
Yeah.
maybe that's why the writing is so exciting.
So do you think the movies are being re-released in theaters? I don't know if you're
Hmm.
going, but the AMC,
Yeah,
oh yeah, I am too.
yeah, him too.
Um, the AMC on the Boston Common sold out within an hour.
Oh, I was. Oh my, I, because that's like the place to go.
That's the
Yeah,
AMC in
yeah,
Massachusetts.
it is.
So, do you ever think they'll remake the movies?
Um, well, yeah, if they weren't thinking about it before, and I'm sure they have thought about this, if they weren't thinking about it before, the idea of them, I didn't know that the AMC in Boston sold out within an hour, but I do, when I was getting tickets to New Moon, I remember just thinking like there are already a lot of seats taken up in here.
Yeah.
And they had just gone on sale.
Mhm.
So yeah, I do think there would be a lot of money in it for them to remake the movies, but I also feel like Twilight fans would be deeply upset by that as well, because I don't think that they want new movies without Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart and Taylor Lautner. I think that that was something that was a little bit concerning as well, when it came to when they first announced the Twilight television show. It was kind of like, well, who's going to play Bella and Edward and Jacob, and how could they compare? Like, there's always going to be this comparison. Um, and so the new Twilight show has gotten around that, but I think it's a great idea that it's animated
Yes.
because I do feel like a little bit of trouble with the movies, and who knows, perhaps AI has gotten around this at this point, but I don't really want to watch like an AI Twilight movie. Is that, and Stephanie Meyer talked about this at her Q&A as well. You have your humans who
Mhm.
it's totally fine for them to look human. And then you have your vampires who are supposed to be extraordinarily beautiful and not operate at the same speed as human beings. And I think that that was very difficult to create in the first films. It's part of what makes them very campy and fun today is that you are seeing this kind of really campy makeup and the campy wigs and the special effects. I don't, particularly when you get to Breaking Dawn, I still don't think we're there in terms of what needs to happen with the baby in order for it to not be insane looking.
Yeah. Oh, Renesmee, she looks so creepy.
Right, right. But, because they had the doll and the
Yep.
doll didn't work out for them. And then she's CGI'd. And like maybe it's a lot better now, but I do think that you run into the same essential problem filming Twilight with actors that has always been the problem is that you're always looking at humans with like weird vampire makeup like and maybe they could do better with that as well again, but I do think some sort of AI might have to be involved
Yeah.
in order to get where Stephanie Meyer would really want them to go, and I don't know if we want that.
I personally
I don't
don't.
want that. I don't want an AI Twilight Saga. So I'm that's why I'm so excited about the animation
Yep.
because they can do these things that Stephanie Meyer originally hoped her vampires would be able to do. Um, so yeah, remaking the movies. I don't know. They could try it.
Yeah, I would say that the movies, like, they're so cringe in certain points.
They
There's
are,
so
yeah.
many iconic lines and scenes that, like, you can't emulate that. Like, they would try and everyone would be like, oh, this isn't the baseball scene. Like, get out of my face.
I think it'd be quite interesting. Yeah, I think it'd be quite interesting because the movies are this incredible combination of like taking themselves extremely seriously and then like not seriously at all. They're insane pieces of media, right? Like each one of them, but I think particularly Twilight is just I've never seen anything like it. I remember sitting there. I don't think it's a great adaptation of a book. Like I remember just being
Yeah.
like, what as a lover of the book, I was like, what is this? But as a film in its own, it's it's incredible. It combines all of these things that shouldn't be combined, and it's this accidental masterpiece. And I just yeah, I think I don't. They would have to really decide how they were going to play it. I've
Hmm.
always wanted someone to really try to take the books quite seriously in a film adaptation, but again, like I just don't know if that will work would work after what we've already seen.
Yeah, I think honestly, like maybe in like 20 to 40 years, I'd be like,
Right.
okay, now is
Yeah.
the time.
I also think that we just like filmmakers just remake things too quickly.
Yes, I agree.
You know what I mean? Like like we're 17 years out from the first Twilight movie. That's we don't need a remake yet.
We
But I
don't.
know with things like Spider-Man and Batman, like that happens so quickly that they're doing the remakes.
Yeah,
But I very much don't want new Twilight movies.
I don't either. I think I'm excited for the TV show, the animated.
I'm really excited about it. She said that she was able to get a lot of things from the books that were originally not in the movies into the television show. So it's very exciting.
That's great. So you wrote a book about Twilight.
I did. Yes.
Why did you do that? Like, I'm so fascinated. Like, I have the book. I haven't read it yet, but I'm
Yeah.
super excited.
Yeah. Why did I do that? It's
Yeah.
a really good question. I have a love my book is called Why We Love and Hate Twilight. I have a real love-hate relationship with writing.
Mhm.
So I have a PhD that I did. I finished in 2012. Writing my dissertation was a really like fraught experience for me, and I kind of said I will never be doing that again. Like it's just it was hard, and I was writing about German philosophy. I think that was part is I just wasn't interested in German philosophy. So what
Okay.
happened is I was making this TikTok content and was approached by my publisher. They have a series of books that called Why We Love X, and so they have a Why We Love Star Wars, Why We Love Back to the Future, and so in 2022, after I'd been doing this for about a year, they pitched the idea of Why We Love. My editor was a huge Twilight fan, but said kind of, what if we did Why We Love Twilight? And I was just kind of like, oh, I don't know, like I have a job. Like I was just remembered my experience with writing, and I was like, I don't know. And also there was this fear because Twilight is so many different things. And of course, I love it and many people love it, but we also, I think there's a lot of things to critique about it and there are a lot of problematic things about it. And so I had a lot of concerns about writing an unironic book about
Mhm.
how much I just love Twilight and not potentially talking about the problems. And so then we talked again a year and a half later, and the TikTok was still going, and I was like, well, I guess this isn't going to stop.
Mhm.
And so we came up with the idea of like, what if it was why we love and hate Twilight? And I thought kind of like, well, if this book is going to exist, like someone is probably going to write this book at some point, like I should try to write it. And it was, yeah, it was a really cathartic experience for me to go through. I think at that point I'd been talking about Twilight for about 4 years on the internet, could get a little cynical. And I think so. The book is really about the fandom and it's the highs and lows of the Twilight Saga, like everything that is good about these characters and everything that's maybe not so good about these characters, some of the stereotypes, some of the things that newer fans have started to talk about coming to Twilight with a fresh lens.
Mhm.
And I just thought I wanted to really have all this stuff that people like to talk about and that I like to talk about all in one place. Right. And so now you can, if you're interested, and I wanted a book too for people who don't like it,
Mhm.
or who are neutral and are just really curious as to why everyone is so fascinated and still talking about Twilight, because it really is deeply unhinged. You know, you have this relationship that we're all obsessed with, and you take a between Belle and Edward, and if you look at it, it's take a lens a little bit closer. It's deep. He's kidnapping her. It's deeply toxic. Things are happening. He's disabling her engine so that she can't go see Jacob.
Yep.
There's the all of the messages that are received about like premarital sex. It's just rife for commentary.
Yep.
And so the whole, you know, the Quileute tribe that is represented in the book as the werewolves, the shapeshifters, is a real tribe, you know, that exists in La Push. And so I want an opportunity to talk about that just in case people don't know that. Like some people really still don't know that the tribe is real, that haven't received any compensation for being used in the books. And aside from the tour, like obviously there's tourism,
Yep.
there are tons of benefits that they receive, but I also wanted to talk as well about some of the negative consequences of these books and these movies. So, and yeah, just to have it all in one place
Yeah.
and to talk about it more. I think I say at the end of the book, like, I hope that this just sparks more conversation so that we can just keep talking about this.
Yeah. Forever. Like Jane Austen. Our Twilight. This is our Jane Austen. Yeah, I think that's great because you can't really like have a meaningful discussion about something just being like, I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it. It's like, but there's also,
Yeah.
you know, there are some bad moments in these series.
Yeah, it's a tough. I never want to come. I think there are a good group of people that think that I am a hater,
Mhm.
but I love Twilight so much. I'm not really a hater of it at all.
Yeah.
I think just to be able to criticize something, to be able to say, to be able to acknowledge that something is not perfect, there may be problems in it that need to be fixed or could have been fixed or whatever it is to hold it up to the level of art
Yep.
and say this is worthy of critique. And I think that there's a lot of people, I get a lot of comments on my Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, wherever saying it's not that deep. I can't believe it. We're saying that it is. It
Mhm.
just it's not out of disrespect to Stephanie Meyer. We're saying that she wrote something that is good enough and to have been better in some ways.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that is what art is. And so when people say that they're not interested in this kind of literary criticism, I think that that's fine. But I also want to recognize, like coming out of academia myself, like that this is how you have a conversation, and we're deeming it worthy of a conversation. So we are
Yep.
taking it serious. I think we're taking it seriously in a way that people never thought that it should be taken.
Yeah, I agree. I agree because you see a lot in history. Like I took art history in college.
Yeah, yeah,
Same vein, it's like, oh, this painting that like we all love now. They're like, oh, it's disgusting and horrible. And it's like those things, it's like, oh, Twilight, disgusting,
yeah.
horrible, but also great. And some people love
Disgusting,
it.
horrible, wonderful.
Exactly. The three adjectives, disgusting, horrible, wonderful, Twilight.
Yeah, I think I love holding like two truths can stand together. I love like something that's really like beautiful and ugly and bringing that together. And how do you wrestle with that? And I think it's our responsibility as fans to not just talk about the good,
Mhm.
but to also talk about the good. And I think that's the other thing is that if we're going to keep talking about the good, we have a responsibility to say, and also
Yeah.
maybe it would have been best if this wasn't this way. And
Yep.
how would we do it differently?
Yeah, I totally agree. Um, Now this is like a fun question. What is your
Oh, I love
favorite unhinged theory?
Oh, so okay. My favorite unhinged theory, like a fan theory?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my favorite one is that the Cullens canonically are bald and that they all wear wigs.
This one. Yep.
Yeah, because it's the one that I deeply think is true. Like
Okay.
you can if I had 5 minutes with Stephanie Meyer, like I believe that I could convince her by presenting her own lore to her that it is true.
Okay.
Because she has said over and over again that their hair doesn't get affected by the transformation. If you have dead ends, you're going to be a vampire with dead ends. That's one thing. Doesn't get affected by the transformation, and will not grow back if you do something to it. We have an example of that in the Brie Tanner novella. A vampire gets her hair ripped out. Her name is Sarah, and Brie thinks to herself, "Well, she's gonna have a bald spot." She's putting her limbs because they can so gross and so weird and out of pocket. They can reattach their limbs using their own venom. It's like
Oh, right.
glue. It's
Okay.
just it's crazy. But so that's why in order to destroy them, you have to set them on fire and rip them apart.
Okay.
Um, but they can't reattach their hair. So if you just think of a vampire like Jasper, who's in the newborn armies,
Yeah.
he's had all of his hair ripped out.
Yeah. And like
And
if he's in an army.
right, right. And so you know that he is going to be extremely patchy. I'm just saying that like they've been alive for how long? They're also living like cosplaying as humans, pretending to be a
Yep.
family. They're fighting, they're ripping each other's hair out. So their hair's not going to look good. And then I also just goes along with the fact that they had these horrible wigs in the
Yep.
movies and that they kept changing them when again they shouldn't be changed. And
Mhm.
so it just makes me feel better to like not think of like Peter Facinelli wearing the horrible wig, but just like that's Carlisle
Yeah.
wearing it because that's his like training wig that he has. And I did talk to Peter Facinelli about this in
Okay.
when I was in the Forks Festival, and he was like, "I think it's true." So
Confirmed.
he had heard of it. He, I mean, it really stands up to scrutiny in a way that, but yeah, there's so many unhinged theories. That is my favorite one because I think it stands up to scrutiny.
It does because when you think about like they're like you would also think that maybe their hair would be like porcelain like the rest of their body too.
It's not. No, yeah, and she's gone through to pains to say like it's not. Like if you
Yeah.
don't have good hair, you're not bringing it with you. Even though in the movie like you see Bella's hair like transform, that's
Yeah.
not canon. Um, but yeah, it's just like if you think about hair, you're having the same hair
Hmm.
for I don't know, at Edwards at 80 years.
Yeah.
So they're gonna
What
need like
that haircut.
some toppers. Yeah, I know. That's the thing. Like when Alice wears that pixie wig in the last movie, it
Yeah.
stresses me out because I'm like, if she had cut that, that's it.
Oh,
Yeah,
it was so cute in the first one.
I know. It was really good in the first one. So yeah, that's I mean, there are so many, but I think that that is my favorite one because it's also like not controversial
No.
either. Do you know what I mean? Like we're not upsetting anybody with that theory.
No, it's hilarious. And also the idea that Carlisle is like ranked as like one of the most wealthy characters of all time, and they have these
He is.
fancy wigs.
He was in Forbes as
Yes.
the number three.
Yep. Crazy.
Yeah, and they have terrible wigs. But I have a theory that they had a whole wig room.
Where would it be?
Well, so they canonically have a fraud room in the this is in the
A
Twilight Illustrated guide.
fraud?
Then it's where they go to like commit crimes. It's where they go to commit like forgery.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Because they're
okay.
committing the Cullens are committing crimes like all the time.
Okay,
Like Alice is messing with the stock market, like they're forging
yeah.
documents, they're
Yes.
faking their own deaths, they are committing crime. Like in Midnight Sun, we see them like steal blood from the hospital and there's like a 27 car pileup that Emmett causes, and like they commit crimes all the time. And so there, yeah, she does say that there's like a specific room where they like forge their documents, and I just call it the fraud room.
Can you imagine Charlie like accidentally happening upon this room like when he's visiting Bella and he's like,
It's just like
oh,
Alice, like just forging things. Yeah, there. I mean, that whole house is crazy because you also have like a doctor's office, and like I mean, there's the whole setup that he has Bella in when she's pregnant. It's a crazy house, but yeah. So the wig room, I don't know. Maybe there's like a secret fall away wall in the back of the wig room or
yeah.
in the back of the fraud room. You can get to the wig room.
Or like behind the graduation caps, it's like a door.
Yeah, you threw
And
that in. But what they need to find is someone to install them because it's not going well.
they don't have a lace front. They're just having like
No,
a
no.
spirit Halloween. Let's
Yeah.
just throw this plastic wig on.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for joining me. This has been so fun.
Yes, of course. Oh my God, thank you so much for having me. This is super fun.